YouTube. I'm trying to copy the Aria original poster. I don't have a smoke machine or a sexy 80s woman to stand behind me though. So this is, I finally got round to it. I got this during the summer off my pal Wayne at a trade. Again, these squeaky straps. It's not the guitar. Yeah, so this is a Zz Bladerunner Aria Pro 2, which is, this is the bass I always talk about that I lost for 20 years and got back. Being a ZZB or ZZB if you're American, or you say Z instead of Z. Yeah, so I eventually got into it. It's one of those guitars that I got that worked. See, when I get a guitar that works, you kind of have a tendency to just, oh, it kind of works, that's fine, but it needed quite a lot. I've just fiddling done to it. I've actually put a proper kahler block on it. I cut a bit of metal to go behind it as well to try and raise it up a bit so it wasn't quite such a tight angle. Yeah, so this is 1985. I was looking at, it's called a Bladerunner because it's got blade pickups, I think. It's also got a kahler. It's not a flyer, does it say on it? It does, it's a kahler flyer. It says flyer on it. So it's got a kahler on it, made in America. Volume and a tone. It's got which I don't think I knew before. It's actually got a push pull, so it does got a coil split, which I don't think I even knew. But just giving it a good clean up and putting new strings on it and stuff. Got it playing quite nicely now. Just took me a while to get to it. Kind of happens with my own guitars. I've still got the other guitar I got off Wayne, which was it was black as well. Washburn A20, which works. Just needs cleaned up. Guitars play so much nicer when they're clean. They just do. They just do. So yeah, actually I looked up Aria ZZs on eBay yesterday, and there is one that from 1983, which is an Aria Pro Deluxe, which is exactly the same, apart from it doesn't say Bladerunner on it, it says Deluxe. Aria had some really cool names around about 1985. There's a Night Warrior, which I had a mega metal, and it's like, but I like Night Warrior. I might need to try and get one of them just because it says Night Warrior on it, which I like. Yeah, so it's actually my first guitar with a kahler on it, and I've got a one with a kahler type bridge on it, a Japanese kahler on a Washburn. It's not worked right. It's not set up right, or something. There's something. It's maybe not routed right. There's something not working right, because this one actually works quite well. And it's sitting in intonation. Just messing about with intonation was a bit annoying. It's like, see the screw that you use to change the intonation, you turn it the wrong way. So I ended up with bits falling off it and stuff because I was turning it going, how's it getting worse? How's it getting worse? It's because you're turning it and it was like, you turn it instead of the way you would normally think, it's a reverse screw on it. But fair dues to kahler, it's very well made because all the wee grub screws all turn really easily, considering this is from 1985 and it was pretty dirty. It's actually got quite a lot of damage on it on the back. This has been, I can get the angle right, you can't really see it. You can sort of see it there. You know, it's pretty pitted. It's been a well rocked. You know, it's been out finding replicants with this thing. I should have put the picture of Bladerunner up, but Bladerunner's not one of my favourite films. I've never really understood it. It's coming through the bass amp. That's not right. No. Come on, stupid. So the kahler feels funny, just because I'm not used to it. Kind of feels a bit like a jazz master, a Jaguar trem, and a wee bit like a Bigsby as well. The way it doesn't pivot, where like the way a Strat trem does or a Floyd Rose does. So you kind of feel a bit disconnected from it. But it returns really, goes up as well. I'm so untrusting of trends. I'm just going to give it a quick double check, make sure everyone is in tune, because to me it's not sounding it. Tuner says it is. It must be. It's just in my head because I just wiggled a trem. It's like immediately it's been until I fully trust it. So what I've got here is, I suppose it's an Explorer, but a slightly pointier Explorer. The guy who I just fixed up a Strat for came picked it up last night. I was like, "What's it? This is too pointy for me." And it's mad how I don't really think of this as a pointy guitar, when clearly it is. I mean, it is, but to me, a pointy guitar is a sort of more modern. Well, no, it is a pointy guitar. It has to be. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I really like this headstock. To me, is a bit iffy. Kind of suits it, but it's obviously it's a little bit pointier than a. I should do a video comparing this to my Westtone Raider, because it's, if anything, slightly pointier, but I think designed by the same guy. You know, I don't know if Aria actually designed their own guitars or whether they used like the Matsumoku factory. This is a Matsumoku guitar. So I mean, the quality level's right up there. We've just got they can't be the same pickups as what's in my 1985 Destroyer. They're very similar. These have got 2 screws on them, but apart from that, they kind of look exactly the same. So it's possible that when Aria got them made by Goto, probably, they'd spec'd just 2 screw holes, whereas Ibanez spec 3. But they might be exactly the same pickups. They certainly look almost identical. Blades were the thing. If you're using a tremolo, it's a more balanced field or something, rather than being like magnetic field that goes like that for each string. So ultimately, the thing I like, you get a lot of hot reel pickups these days. The mini Stratocaster single coil sized rail pickups, and they're really good because it doesn't really matter what your string spacing is. So if you've got like a mad guitar, I remember this happened to me with a Hondo 12 string Strat I had, and the pickups weren't wide enough to cover all 12 strings. So you could either have the first 10 missing out the 2 high E strings all working and then nothing on the high E's, or if you kind of slid the pickups, moved the pick guard down a bit, you could get all the strings apart from the other 2 E's. So the rail pickups were slightly wider, and basically they'll just fit anything because it's just a solid magnetic field. Good for fitting anything. You could put these in a bass or something, or anything, it was really good. I took the tuners off, cleaned them, put them back on again. It's amazing the difference just doing that. It's like, that's not technical, guitar techie stuff to do that, and it just works so much better. Then you've got a wee adjustment screw in the top, you can tighten them up, and then you make sure these bolts in the top are tight, and these are Goto tuners, so these are exactly the same tuners you get on Westtones, apart from instead of saying Westtone in the back, the wee plate says Aria Pro 2. And why would I would never change them. They're like as good a tuner as you can get, I think. And it kind of sits for all of this. This actually had I fixed it, but the volume control, it kind of looks like an old original Japanese one, but I think it was an alpha pot rather than a beta. So it was an A500, not a B500. And the difference what means there is, like, when you turn the volume down to there, it's completely off. You've got like between 8 and 10, and then by the time when 10's full, and when you get to 8, there's no sound at all, and it doesn't do anything between sort of 7 and 0. It just doesn't engage. So if you pick up either that or the pot was broken, but now it's working, and all these wee niggles, which I was kind of aware of before, but never bothered fixing. It's now up and running. So that's it, single coil both. If you want a bit of sort of stratiness. So this is a 25.5-inch scale, so it's a Strat. It's always quite bad if you've never played an Explorer type before, how there's no guitar here. It makes the neck seem really long, because normally obviously the guitar here and you don't see the top of the neck, but for high fret access it's pretty good. Well, I was going to say not to get there, but that's me away up at where the 24th fret would be. This one also has the truss rod adjustment in this end, so it doesn't interfere with this. A good idea. there's all the way around it, but, you know, like the whole thing with the Floyd Rose having the, you know, the nut and the clamp, that's fine because you can still get at the truss rod if it's at the top. But as soon as you put something, it has got a nut and then something behind it, you have to work out how do you get to the truss rod. So you end up getting these mad ones that have got holes in them, and you have to take it off to adjust all that. I did actually have to angle grind an Allen key to fit in that hole though. It was just, you know, like the L shape bit was just too long, so I just cut that much off it. So I've actually got an Allen key specifically for this guitar and ones like it. I remember doing that before. I bet you if I'd looked harder I would have found the last time I had to do that. I just figured it was quicker to go out to the garage and angle grind off the end of an old Allen key than it was to undo all the strings, unbolt the neck, set it back, then go in and then adjust it and then put it back together again and then decide I need to adjust it a wee bit more, you know, after I put all the strings back on again. So just make it. So now I assume I'll put this video up after my governor video. So now I've got my governor pedal back. Then duckers for full power. Yeah, it is now sounding the way I feel like a guitar like this should look like. I think I'll maybe put in a wee bit of a jam. How can it be 11 minutes in already? I've not even started playing it. Talk too much. That's not good. This is already quite a long video. I'm just going to switch onto the bass because that seems... Yeah, I might do a wee bit of a... This might be the first of a new series of playing the matching pair of basses and guitar. Doesn't really take that long to switch over. Now using the rat pedal. Bladerunner. When you're playing an Explorer guitar, as you tend to rest it, it's really good for resting your hand on. You really get behind it. So good for posing. Maybe that's the point, like that sort of thing. You can't. Whoops. Keep velcroing above the puzzles. I've noticed that the kahler does give it a slightly funny bendy feel. I put 10s on this, they feel like 9s. Somehow when you bend, I don't know, it doesn't look... It's not moving when you bend it up, but there's something, the tension's slightly different. It's definitely looser, bendier. Like you have to bend the note further to get the same note. It's actually feeling really good. It's really. Can you do the trill thing? Sort of. Something crackly going on. Maybe because I just kicked over all these pedals. Maybe not got a brilliant connection on the back somewhere. Oh. Got a slight crackle going on there somewhere. So I'm really pleased with this. I'm really liking it. To be honest, I really liked it when I first got it off Wayne, but it didn't have the proper kahler mount on it. I had like a Floyd Rosey thing, but it was kind of suspended in mid-air because it's such a big distance from where it should be against it. And I just put a bar under it so it wasn't the fully locking thing, and it was kind of a bit. Plus, I never changed the strings on it. God knows how old they were. So with good strings on it and a good clean, and it's amazing how a guitar that looked absolutely battered, I kind of coloured in some bits with a black marker pen, and then gave it a bit of a wipe, and it's actually looked pretty good. I need to take this into the studio with Kraken House once we eventually get back into the studio, because I think I kind of like the idea. I don't know, something about Explorers are really good, especially when you're in the studio and when you're talking between songs, you can rest your hands like that. Which is why I originally bought that one, because my guitarist in my first band had bought a Jackson Kelly, and he used to stand and talk. He would talk in there, and he'd be up here. Yeah, so is that for the MIDI? Do you want to? And he would stand like that, and I was up here. I want to be able to stand like that as well. So that's why I got that. That one's awesome. That's probably my favourite bass. Well, it's sitting next to the Schecter, so that was my second ever bass. I had a Westone Spectrum for about a month, something like that, before I bought that, and then I had that for my year, probably maybe not even as long as a year. No, about a year, and then I traded it in against an Epiphone EBO, which I ran for, I don't know, a year or two, and then I bought that. So that's kind of my bass history there in a winner. Never looked back. That's still the best bass ever. It's like I bought plenty of basses since then, but no, never one as good, really. To be honest, I've never really bought one as good as that. I always regretted getting rid of it, because I didn't realise at the time it was really good until I started playing other basses, and I went, actually, that Aria I had was really good. And this is basically just a guitar version of it. I think by the time you get to 85, the sort of golden era of the Japanese guitar had sort of started dying a little bit. So what they were doing was they were renaming the guitars. I've actually got another guitar and bass set, the Laser set, which are from 85 as well, and they've got like, it's kind of old parts. So this is an RS neck from the RS series, and basically they just called it a Bladerunner, even though they did one very similar called an Aria Deluxe. So they brought out a new range of guitars, which really weren't really a new range of guitars. It was just a different paint job, or it said Bladerunner on it, maybe slightly different pickups or something. And they did that with a lot of things around about that era. I think they were maybe using up old stock, or just deciding that actually the research and development costs a bit, so we just need to let's see what we've got, facelift them a little bit to make for the 1985 line. And then by 1986 was the last year of the Japanese guitars, really. 1987, the Matsumoku factory closed down, and then you started getting, every guitar was a super Strat and made in Korea, plywood and all that. But these are the last of the top quality guitars. So 85's kind of just at the end. Mind you, my Ibanez, which isn't on the wall behind me, I need to put it back on the wall behind me, it was 86. Ibanez were the ones that sort of a last ditch attempt in sort of 86, and then it was like by 87 it was like, oh no, what we're going to do, and it was like, oh, we've got this Steve Vai guitar, bang, saved them. If only Aria Pro had well, they were a different factory, the factory closed anyway, but if they'd had a Steve Vai come in, design a guitar that was going to be the future, and it had come through, maybe Aria Pro would be today's Ibanez. They're still going, Aria, but just not to the same. They don't have the same kudos as Ibanez do. Ibanez have got an image. They've got their Vai and their Satriani, which I think, to be honest, sort of detracts from their image a little bit. A little bit. I mean, they're good, and they've never changed in Paul Gilbert, I suppose, as well. But Satriani and Vai are the big ones. Having them made them for, you're a technical player. And it's like, even though Ibanez have always made and still make all sorts of, even look at that one there, make all sorts of guitars for any type of music, country and jazz and acoustics and all that, but it's the Steve Vai and the Satriani, you think of technical stuff. Floyd Rosey's 24 frets, humbuckers, all these things. Kahler, I don't even know if you still get Kahlers. The thing, my main gripe against Kahlers is if you've got a Kahler bridge, I mean, it's a guitar like this, for example, the kahler's probably is worth more than what I paid for the guitar. The kahler's worth about 200 quid, and this is in good nick. So it's a £200 bridge. You can't just take it off and put something else on because it leaves a really awkward shaped route hole. Whereas something like a Floyd Rose or a Strat, you know what I mean, you can just take it off and put another. It's the output jack that's rattling. You can just put another type of bridge in. Okay, you do maybe have to put in different bridge, bridge pins, but you can just drop something else in. Whereas with a kahler, you've either got to buy another. If you've got one with a broken kahler, you've either got to buy another kahler, or you've got to, fill it in and then repaint the whole guitar. So it's not a great option. But they were popular, and there's folk that love them, and the reason they're 200 quid is because folk love them. And I'm sure, I bet you there's guitars that would make you cringe that have got kahlers put in them. Like my pal Scott's got his 1969 Fender Strat that someone's put a Floyd Rose in. I bet you there's ones like that. There's 60 Strats out there that weren't worth any money in the 80s. It's like, it's not a pre-CBS one. I think the 50s ones were always worth money, but it's like it's sort of a 65 or something like that. Yeah, cheap second-hand guitar. I'll buy that, stick a kahler in it. So I bet you they exist. Rock on, half an hour. Wow, long videos this week. Catch you later.